So end of week one on the big experiment, menopause experiment about can you cut as a postmenopausal woman. So last week I was on 2035 calories, which breaks down to 135 grams of protein, 250 grams of carbohydrates and 55 grams of fat. Now, it's really important to caveat that and not to take those figures and think that's what you're going to apply to yourself. That's based on my weight and my activity levels. So it's got to be specific and personalized to you. So I'll just give you an example of how I got that kind of amount of protein in, because 135 grams of protein, when I take on clients for the first time in my premium coaching, most of them think they're eating sufficient protein are on very little, so 40 grams. So 135 grams, I always use a protein shake because otherwise it's well nigh impossible to get it in. I use this Form 1, which I find the most palatable. It's vegan, gluten-free, doesn't upset your stomach. And then I also always take creatine now. It's about the one supplement that I think out there for menopausal women that's actually worth doing. There's absolutely tons of studies around the benefits for strength training. So you've got to combine it with strength training. I actually experimented with this when I was probably 22, when I was working on a magazine and one of the French international tennis players was using it, so it was in all the news. So loads of studies and research back the benefits of this, and there's increasing evidence to suggest that it's also very good for cognitive function for postmenopause. And then the other way I get protein in, you absolutely have to make sure it's in every meal, because if you are trying to make sure you're eating sufficient protein and you leave it till dinner time, it's game over. It's really, really difficult to do. So I always have, last week I was mainly having 3 eggy bread. So 1 piece of toast, and I add chili and cumin and stuff like that into the egg, soak it, and then have that with some vegetables. Lunch, I always use a sauce of fish with something. And so when I'm working away from home, I have been using, in my co-working office, I've been using these Merchant Gourmet sachets, and then I take a tin of tuna or a tin of chili sardines, and again some vegetables, and therefore I don't even need a lunchbox. I just shove them all in together, and it gives me at least a minimum of 30 grams of protein. And then these are really handy little things. The Naked protein bars are really good. And then dinner. So last week, I admit to you, I went out to dinner 3 times, but I still stuck to that calorie intake. I usually choose things like Turkish restaurants, because you can always have grilled fish, and then I ask them to have salad and a smaller piece of rice, so that I'm always getting my vegetables and fibre in there as well, and healthy fats, not just protein. It's not just about protein. So last week, I did. It was mainly Turkish actually that I did. So it enabled me to go out and see friends, not have to just stay at home all the time. And then I did 3 workouts. I've got 1 more to do today, strength workouts, and progressively overloaded my strength in all 3 of those workouts. So if you don't know what that means, it basically means that once your foundations are set and you know how to do the exercises, your technique is really good, then what you're looking to do is increase your weights on each set, if not definitely each week, if not each set. So for me, I was able to increase each set. So my leg presses, hip thrusts, all of those things went up marginally, but a little bit. So I increased my strength in all of them. And then I've done 19 miles of running so far this week. If you're watching this, you don't actually have to run. I'm doing it because I also train for ultras and marathons, and I can't let my running just go to 0, because it's too much of a leap to get back into that. And I've got 1 more 10 miler today. For that run, I will be eating a little bit more than my daily intake, because I have to fuel for my run. So every single woman who has ever come into my VIP program freaks out about eating too many calories. They think it's all about that, and actually they're amazed when they actually eat more calories and they realize their snacking's gone and they end up eating sufficient for actually their aims. But that aside, what has happened to me this week, and have I seen any results? So this week I'm still exactly the same weight, exactly the same body fat at the moment. My pictures maybe marginally, you can have a look, see what you think. So from my point of view, I suppose the thing that scuppered me a little bit was yesterday I did an all-day retreat for my VIP clients who came from Scotland, Wales, all over the country. And whilst we put on an incredible, lovely lunch, and I also took my protein shake, I probably wasn't eating sufficiently because I was talking, presenting, lots of that. So that slightly scuppered it. So my aim next week, I will probably be on a little bit of a restriction next week. So a little bit more, 250 calories less, making it a little bit more challenging. I'll have to be really on top of my nutrition next week. So possibly no eating out next week unless I'm really specific about exactly what I'm eating. I have got a business conference on Friday. So again, I'll have to be really on it for that day, maybe even take my own lunch for that. So that's the latest. So week 1 is over. Hasn't been too difficult at all in terms of the nutrition, but then I always plan my nutrition, and by that, when I say plan, all I mean is that I make sure I've got the right nutritious food in my cupboards and in my fridge and in my freezer. So what I did last week was subscribe to a fish box. So I get 7 pieces of fish, whole fish, so that's like 14 fillets, every 2 weeks. So put them in the freezer. I've always got great fish to choose from, and I always have multiple packets of these for emergency, loads of cans of things, and lots of fresh fruit and vegetables, and a load of eggs. So that's the limit of my preparation. I just make sure the food is there. Now for me, I'm quite a good cook, so I can literally look at something and just come up with an idea. If that's not you, then you might need to do a little bit more preparation. So you can tell me what you think. Is there any difference? I'm not quite sure yet. So 5 weeks to go. Let's see where we get to. So yeah, do comment below. Tell me your thoughts. Give me a follow and see what happens for the rest of this journey in the big menopause experiment. Can you cut as a postmenopausal woman?